What's up, Aridity Man? Back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Godzilla Kong Supernova news and updates. In this one, we're going to break down some set photos from Godzilla Kong Supernova, showing what is very well a new Monarch vehicle, which might suggest Monarch is going to have a bit of a different relationship with the Titans than they previously have, as well as we're going to be talking about if Godzilla and Kong will be going to space. Let's get into it. Starting out with some artwork like always, this first piece comes to us from Makio0001, and this is their Rodan spin art. I always love Makio's art. I also always love King of the Monsters stuff. This is my favorite scene in King of the Monsters. Rodan is so awesome in that scene. I love the barrel roll spin he does, and this artwork is really cool. I loved coming across this. It was very fun that people are still out there making King of the Monsters art to this day. This next piece was submitted by Hunter. This is Godzilla in the Kaiju shower. First of all, cool Godzilla redesign. I think maybe Hunter's seen my video where I proposed the theory that Godzilla might be a bit greener in this new movie. If you go watch my teaser breakdown for Supernova, there's a bit of evidence to suggest that they might make Godzilla a bit more of like a Toho styled green Godzilla for this new movie. And I love to see that represented here. It actually looks really good. I like those tan spines, just like the figure. I like the tan chest. The green looks really good. I like that it still retains some of those pink elements like in the eyes, and you can see a bit of a glow through the spines and in the elbow spikes. And the Kaiju shower is an idea Hunter came up with, where Spacegodzilla would arrive to Earth as a meteorite and then other kaiju would rain down with him. I think it's very cool and very apocalyptic. This one's great. This is from Luis Garcia Arts, and this is their Godzilla creeping over art. He looks so creepy here. Kind of pulling in some of that imagery from the Egypt fight. I think this one turned out really well, and I love the lighting in this piece. The lighting on this one is fantastic. Godzilla looks really great here. I really like that angle of him. He's pretty spooky. Do you remember Alvisi Alvadi's Godzilla vs. Kong teaser commercial thing? This is going to be a weird thing for those of you who weren't in the fan base, or for those of you who don't remember, but we were so starved for Godzilla content after Godzilla King of the Monsters, before Godzilla vs. Kong due to the pandemic, that when Avadi released this little Godzilla vs. Kong teaser, basically parody clip, it really blew up in the fan base because that was the most Godzilla vs. Kong content we had. Well, they're back again with the sequel. This one is the supposed bloopers of Godzilla vs. Kong, featuring their Godzilla and Kong designs back in action. Kong looks a little different, but Godzilla looks pretty much the same. The first blooper shows Kong doing his big roar, but his fur like gets static electrified and really sparks up. And the second one, the camera gets way too close and bumps him in the face, basically parodying some of the jokes that they used in their first video. I think the animations are really high quality. I think they're very well done, and as I said there, I really think that this is a pretty neat Godzilla redesign, and I'd love to see this thing be like a subspecies of Godzilla. This looks like if you nuked Doug and turned Doug into Godzilla. I don't know, I thought it was cool, so I wanted to show it off, and I think the animation turned out really well. Really impressive cinematography and VFX and camera work and everything here. This is really high quality stuff. This isn't really news, but I did think it was interesting. PB Sandwich shared this little compilation or collection of Hanna-Barbera parallels to the MonsterVerse Godzilla, specifically those first two films. Gareth Edwards was a big fan of the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla show. I've seen some of these before, like I've seen the comparisons of Godzilla roaring and Godzilla puffing out his chest before he shoots his atomic breath, but what I don't remember seeing is the references to King of the Monsters, with Godzilla looking at the submarine, basically paralleling Godzilla looking at the boat in the cartoon, and then the Calico making an appearance in Godzilla King of the Monsters. I kind of remember covering that, but I might not have. I honestly don't totally remember. Either way, I wanted to show it off again because I love Easter eggs. I think they're lots of fun, and I like celebrating that stuff. Ghost X Ghost revealed this Rodan shirt with Rodan coming out of a volcano. Honestly, I don't know if this is King of the Monsters Rodan or if this is just supposed to just be Rodan, but it's very cool. Obviously, it's very King of the Monsters with him on the volcano, so I wanted to show it off here. I think it's fantastic. Ghost X Ghost always does really cool Godzilla collabs, so this one's no exception. Dankin Orju shared this custom Methuselah figure made by YMSF. I know they're selling these things at G-Fest this year. I think they're all sold out, but man, really cool stuff. Obviously, we didn't get a Methuselah figure. There seems to be some major ramifications from the Summit Kaiju lawsuit, where Summit Kaiju was essentially claiming that they stole Methuselah from him, from his Summit Kaiju design. So it seems like we'll probably never see Methuselah again, but this figure is at least a cool way to pay tribute to the idea of Methuselah. Methuselah was one of my favorite kaiju in King of the Monsters, and I thought the potential for for that monster would have been really cool moving forward. So this is a cool way, I guess, to pay tribute to that. SH Monster Arts has launched a new line of figures. These are the Movie Graphics Plus figures, and in their release so far, they've done Godzilla 1989, they have a Shin Godzilla coming out, there's a Godzilla 1954 upcoming, and if you look, the final in this set of 4 is Godzilla 2014. SH Monster Arts' Godzilla 2014 might finally be getting a re-release after a long time. It's been 10 years coming. Fans have been begging for 10 years for a SHMA Godzilla 2014 re-release, and it seems we will finally get it. So for those of us like myself who missed out on the SHMA Godzilla 2014 in the first place, we might finally have our chance to get one, but I would expect them to boost the price on that thing given that it's going to be part of the new line. Toho and Legendary have officially approved a new MonsterVerse Godzilla Lego set. This has been a long time coming with fans wanting a Godzilla Lego set. Fans have been begging for it for years. And we've been teased with things like nano blocks and some other Lego adjacent figure sets over the years, but we finally have an official Lego Godzilla set, and it looks really, really cool. This is a fan submitted design from Matthew Esposito for Godzilla 2021. This is the Godzilla 2021 design, so I guess Godzilla vs. Kong, aka the 2019 design. It got approved officially. It was originally submitted in 2023 and then again in 2024, and earned the required 10,000 votes from supporters for LEGO to consider it. This product, while it does not have an official announcement yet, and the design is not finalized, did get a press release from Toho stating that they are moving forward with development on this Lego. It looks really good. It's got the nice bulk of Godzilla 2019. It's got the spine shape generally right, the best you could probably do with Lego. And then I really like the atomic breath. I think that's very cool. Overall, it looks really great. Spiral Studios has announced that they will be revisiting one of their most iconic figures, the Hall of Fame series Burning Godzilla 2019. However, they didn't announce if they're going to be revisiting the deluxe version with the Mothra wings, but that's still pretty cool that they're going to re-release that thing, and so some people who missed it the first time might finally be able to get it again. This was very random, but Kaiju number 14 discovered that we have a new Godzilla 2014 banner. It is a reworked version of the promotional image of Godzilla's victory. Hey, if you want to see the location where that exact shot is taken, go check out Godzilla Ground Zero episode 2, where I go to San Francisco to show all the Godzilla 2014 shooting locations in real life. This banner popped up on Netflix and is the new official Godzilla 2014 banner. I really like it. It brings in the nice orange apocalyptic colors of Godzilla 2014 while retaining the original beauty of that piece. It is not like when they 2019ified the Godzilla 2014 artwork and, in my opinion, lost the aesthetic that made that artwork so powerful. So this is really cool. I love this one, and I actually kind of like it a bit more than I like the original promo image, although obviously the lighting is a little too exaggerated for the film itself. The artist Gabriella Ballista may have accidentally spoiled that there is going to be a big MonsterVerse Roblox collaboration here, as she posted to her ArtStation account new MonsterVerse character profiles revealing her partnership with something called the Super Social Team, and they are working to do a collaboration between the MonsterVerse and Roblox. We have official character designs for her Roblox Kong, which looks really good. She's done a really good job sculpting this thing. I think the Beast Glove translated really well. I like the scars on Kong, he looks good. Godzilla, who I think looks really cool. I really like the colors on this Godzilla, and that he has translated to this art style pretty nicely. Scar King, I really like the proportions on this guy. Made him very lanky and exaggerated, and they also kind of made him a little more palatable. Like, he looks a little more friendly here than he does in the movie. I like it. I actually like this one a lot. Shimo, which looks pretty cool. They've done a good job with Shimo. I especially like the texturing through the crystals on her back. King Ghidorah, which looks great. Ghidorah looks just like King Ghidorah. Like, this one probably translated the most accurately. He looks fantastic. The colors look great. This thing looks a lot like the Haya Ghidorah in my opinion, especially the coloring. It looks like that special re-release of the Haya Ghidorah. Further proof that Legendary has continued use of the King Ghidorah IP and can continue to use him and license him out as long as they get Toho's permission. So hey, never write Ghidorah, Rodan, or Mothra off, as they could always reappear in a new movie. Same with Mechagodzilla. The Skullcrawler, which is the GVK Skullcrawler with the red all over him, which to this day we've never had a concrete answer what was different with that guy and why he had red all over him. And then Kong's axe, which does look fantastic. That looks really good. The Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong issue 2 had a teaser featuring Kong versus Kaiju Killer Croc. I like it here. You got Kong taking on this giant Killer Croc who's now Kaiju sized. This seems like it'd actually kind of be an even match just given the proportioning. I'm actually very excited to read this fight. I think it'll be really cool. And you got a little panel of the Justice League being like, oh, we should probably step in and get involved with this because this seems like something Lex Luthor's pulling the strings on. We also got an expanded look at the Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong combined signed cover. We are only missing a few segments of it here. This was put together by Mr. Goji, and you can see it features an enormous all-out kaiju war going on in Hollow-Earth. It looks really awesome. You've got an army of skullcrawlers at the bottom, Tiamat's there, Godzilla, the Muto, Rodan, Mothra, King Ghidorah. It looks great. There's even Hellhawks flying around. This thing looks really exciting. I'm very excited to read this comic. I still haven't gotten to it yet, but this image overall looks great, and I really want to collect all these covers so I can put this thing together. That is super cool. The LA Times did an interview with Kaitlyn Dever, and in it, she discusses Godzilla Kong a little bit. Not a ton, but a little bit. I think it does reveal, though, where the tone of the movie is heading. In this interview, we learned that, first of all, Kaitlyn Dever's father voiced Barney the dinosaur, so it says maybe that's the reason she likes Godzilla so much, is that she has some sort of distant relationship to him, which is pretty funny. I did not know that. Dever says she wants to meet Godzilla. She doesn't know if she will outside of her imagination, but she wants to meet him. But that's okay because her imagination is a powerful thing. It's a very wholesome sentiment. I really like it. It'd be cool if Legendary or Toho would create really nice high quality promotional suits to celebrate these movies and do press with them. A little bit more movie accurate than the suits they produce for like King of the Monsters, for instance, would be really cool, but something along those lines so that she finally could meet Godzilla, or you know what, just introduce her to the Japanese Godzilla, as I know that the Japanese Godzilla still do promotional events. Meet the 54 Godzilla. That Godzilla still shows up and does promo events, and she could do that at any time. Toho, make it happen. We find out here that around June 16th, Dever returned home from LA taking a break from shooting Godzilla Kong Supernova. In a previous video, I discussed how Alicia Debnam Carey was also only on set for a little while and she had wrapped a stint on Godzilla Kong Supernova. Well, a lot of people think that her character is gonna die, Sam Neill's character might die, maybe even Matthew Modine's character might die, just because a lot of these actors wrapped shooting rather early or didn't shoot that long, and a lot of people are like, oh my god, they're gonna get the Bryan Cranston treatment. I don't know why we're still worried about actors getting the Bryan Cranston treatment in the MonsterVerse. That simply has not happened since Bryan Cranston, unless you want to count like Sally Hawkins and King of the Monsters, but overall that just hasn't been a thing that the MonsterVerse has stuck to doing long term, so I'm not too worried about it. And it's also like Kaitlyn Dever, the main character here, taking a break from shooting mid-shooting. That's just the way it works, you guys. Sometimes actors are scheduled to shoot for long times, then they're given breaks, then they come back for more shooting, and that could be happening for all of them. The only one who it feels like had a definitive wrap was Matthew Modine, who posted that big fireworks celebration we covered in the last video, where he also accidentally seemingly spoiled the big Toho monsters Rodan, Mothra, and Spacegodzilla's return for this movie, but go check that video out for more. Continuing with this interview, it does get a little real here as we find out that Dever is first of all slated to return shooting in July, so she should be shooting right about now. She'll probably be part of the Utah team for the movie. Dever also spends a lot of her time in between shoots on GXK writing music about her late mother, who recently passed away. It's here where we get a little bit of an indication on where the tone of the next movie is going. As Dever states, she wants to celebrate her mother's fun-spirited nature, and says, and I'll quote, "And I have to sometimes remember that. Because as much as I love the challenge of doing serious stuff and find playing those characters therapeutic, there's a place for a Godzilla movie, you know?" Which gives me an indication that this movie's not gonna be what some fans are thinking it is. I know some fans are thinking like, Adam Wingard's out, Grant Spatori's in, the tone is shifting, we're gonna go back to like a very serious, very Godzilla 2014 style tone. I don't think that's gonna be the case. I think that there's gonna be a stronger emphasis to write a better human story and to really focus on the characters. I am still expecting the movie to be pretty over the top. I feel like we jumped the shark at this point and there's no way to go back. We're just kind of living on that side of the pond now. And so, you know, this quote makes it seem like the tone for the next movie is probably going to still be in the lighter hearted style, something a little less serious, not like Godzilla -1. My hope of hopes is that we return to Godzilla King of the Monsters style of really nicely blending fantasy and sci-fi and serious elements with more lighthearted elements. Maybe we ditch some of the sense of humor that Godzilla King of the Monsters had, but overall, I really think that movie was the way forward, and I think Godzilla vs. Kong actually proved that point beyond what Godzilla King of the Monsters really did, but even GVK goes a little too far in the opposite direction. But there you go, that's the quote. Dan Stevens did the Dan Stevens thing. He posted a little thing on his Instagram story of Ashiro Honda sitting in a giant monster's hand while a song plays saying, "I can't get off the carousel, I can't get off this world. Beam me up, because I can't breathe." It's Babylon Zoo's Spaceman. I will say, I saw some people misidentify this photo. Like I know Based God of Hope seems to think that it's Ashiro Honda laying in King Kong's hand, and in fact, I would be willing to bet Dan Stevens also thinks that's Ashiro Honda laying in King Kong's hand, but that isn't. That is Gyra's hand. That is the Gyra hand puppet on set of War of the Gargantuas. That is what Ishiro Honda is sitting in, although I do believe that this was a reworked version of the King Kong hand puppet from 1962. So in a way, still technically works out. The song playing here is important. I do want to mention it here. This is not Dan Stevens' first time doing this. This is the second time Dan Stevens has teased specifically space through a song posted on his Instagram. The first time he posted the MGMT song about moons and monsters, which I did a whole video breaking down what that could mean and how there very well likely is a monster coming from the moon in the new movie, or something really important going on with the moon in the next movie. But here, he posts the song Spaceman. The song is mostly about how corrupt society is and how rotten people are to each other, but if we're taking it literally, it's literally discussing the world burning with no god to save them. Maybe a reference to where this new movie's heading. Maybe the world will be burning and Godzilla can't save the world this time. The narrator in the song sings about how they want to be taken off this planet and to go to space to escape what's happening on Earth. There are a few times in the Godzilla mythology that the movies have gone to space. Does this imply that in Godzilla Kong Supernova we're finally taking Godzilla and Kong to space? Are we not only going to jump the shark, but we're going to jump the Megalodon in the process? We could. This would not be the first time that Godzilla's been to space. In Invasion of Astro Monster, one of my favorite Godzilla movies, although one that I don't really want to see remade, at least not right now, Godzilla and Rodan are taken to Planet X by the Exilians and forced to fight King Ghidorah. It's Godzilla's only time in outer space and Rodan's only time in outer space as well, although interestingly, we do have teasers that Rodan might return for this new movie as we discussed in the last video, so maybe Rodan and Godzilla are going to reunite in space. Godzilla and Kong could go to space through something like Monarch tech. I guess Monarch could build them some giant space suits. That would be pretty abominable, but you know, it might happen. Maybe it's just building off their Hollow Earth technology like the heaves or whatever. They could launch them into space with a giant heave, I guess. They could be picked up by an alien spaceship, just like in the original film, Invasion of Astro Monster. There could be aliens that show up and help out. Or, what I think is perhaps the most interesting idea, we utilize the Hollow Earth vortices and Axis Mundi to basically create a wormhole to transport Godzilla and Kong through dimensions, and to get them to a different planet. It took me a while to settle into what Axis Mundi exactly was, as it seemed at first like a literal physical space that existed in between the Earth and the Hollow Earth. They call it the space between space, you know? It seems more likely that the vial vortexes essentially are a wormhole, looping the top of the planet into Hollow Earth, which literally does exist inside of Earth, but in the center of that, the gravity or whatever is so dense that there is a singularity, and if you enter it without a way to exit it, you basically get beamed into this alternate dimension called Axis Mundi, which sucks elements in from the surface world and Hollow Earth, and basically creates the land of the lost. It's very possible that we could explore this vial vortex wormhole portal theory to get Godzilla and Kong to a different planet without actually having them literally leave the planet in a spaceship, you know? Godzilla's already visited Axis Mundi, meaning in a way, Godzilla does have the ability to navigate between dimensions in the MonsterVerse. It's just he can only go to that one. Additionally, it might not refer to Godzilla and Kong at all. This could be a little more literal about Trapper himself, Dan Stevens' character. In Godzilla vs. Spacegodzilla, which it seems very likely this movie will essentially kind of be remaking a lot of elements from, Spacegodzilla battles G-Force in Mogira on his way to Earth. G-Force creates Mogira, which is capable of space travel, and they do fight Spacegodzilla before he can make it to Earth. It's possible Monarch will send an intercept mission to take on Spacegodzilla, and Trapper could be a part of it. The last time they sent Trapper to Hollow Earth. Maybe this time they're sending him to the moon. Maybe that's what all the teasers are all about. Pretty interesting stuff. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Comment below and let me know. I know there's quite a few people I've seen who are really rooting and hoping that the next film takes Godzilla and Kong to space. That's the last thing I want. I'm totally fine with Spacegodzilla, and I'm okay with aliens. As long as Godzilla and Kong remain on Earth, I'll probably be pretty fine with it. If they leave Earth, you're probably gonna lose me. Unless you do that multi-dimensional thing, which could be pretty sick. A DRT truck was spotted on set for Godzilla Kong Supernova in Brisbane during a high-speed stunt chase. First shared by Mr. Goji, this comes to us actually from the Brisbane Times. I have discussed this DRT truck a little bit in my video breaking down the set filming for Supernova, so go check that video out for more details. The Brisbane Times shared these really nice photos of this truck. We can actually see it in its full glory now. It's got a Monarch logo painted on the back. It's labeled C4, which I don't think actually refers to the C4 explosive, because there's also a C3 right next to it, which says high voltage above it. I think these are power sources, you know, like places to plug in. This truck is labeled 56, so it's the 56th truck of this nature. There is this weird little thing sticking off the top, which we'll discuss in a second. A yellow pod up on the top as well, which I think maybe allows people to stick their heads out of and fire out of. There's a Monarch logo painted on the side, and then the DRT symbol, as well as this Monarch symbol sitting inside of a medical symbol. This is combining the Monarch symbol with the rod of Asclepius, which depicts a serpent wrapping around this rod in the middle of this kind of star shape, which is named after the god of healing and medicine, and it widely represents the idea of medicine and health overall. So Monarch has a new medical division going on here. That is what we're seeing. That truck we were seeing in the filming we discussed the other day, that G-Force video, that seems like that's a Monarch truck pulling up after whatever goes down, which makes me think Monarch may have just pulled off a potential Titan rescue, because that truck is labeled with the term DRT. DRT actually stands for defibrillation and resuscitation. To run through the Brisbane Times article, we find out that on Sunday, June 15th, a high-speed stunt shut down streets in Brisbane, Australia. A modified Fuso truck pulled up and was racing up and down the streets. It's this truck we see here. The article speculates that that thing sticking off the top is actually a large laser gun attached to the roof. Very well could be. If that's the case, maybe this is going along with that theory I discussed in the other video, where the MonsterVerse technology has gotten to the point where we've got laser guns and we can even have masers. If you remember, the very first masers we see in the Heisei continuity shoot red lasers rather than lightning like the traditional masers. So that very well could be what we're looking at here. It could also be some sort of Monarch medical tool, like maybe a way to shoot electricity into Titans to resuscitate them, or it could be like a giant water hose. Like this does look like a bit like a fire truck. DRT, which stands for defibrillation and resuscitation, meaning that this does seem like it's going to be a medical truck. It could represent a Monarch truck that drives through battlefields, rescuing people off the streets and resuscitating them in times of Titan attacks and crisis. And so they could be like your everyday heroes who are doing the really hard, dirty jobs that is not really all that glamorous. Rather than fighting the Titans, they're simply focused on saving the civilians. That could be pretty cool. Or it could be a truck that essentially serves the purpose of what Nathan Lin did with the Heave in Godzilla vs. Kong, and it could be a truck used to resuscitate the Titans if a friendly Titan is in need of help during an attack. Like, for instance, if Mothra is fighting a monster and she gets knocked out, this could resuscitate her and get her back in the battle so that she could defend a city easier, something like that. It could be pretty interesting. An SUV with an articulated camera attached to it was trailing behind this truck during the sequence. That's how they were filming it. This main truck supports a Monarch logo with a new medical symbol, and the article seems to reconfirm that the shoot that happened in May was supposed to be set in the devastated streets of London, once again confirming that that scene takes place in London, and this scene probably does too. This is probably the same scene of the movie. They just first filmed the aftermath and now they're filming the main sequence. In fact, the truck looks a lot less dirty here than it did when it pulled up in that scene, so it's very possible this is the same truck and it just hasn't taken on all the damage yet. They also report that in November 2024, a Monarch Legacy of Monsters seemingly shot nearby at the Parliament House in Brisbane. I don't think that's going to be related. A lot of these MonsterVerse projects shoot in Australia and they're really never the same location, so I don't really think that's going to be related, but still a cool update anyways, and it's nice to hear more about Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2. We also have a photo of what appears to be just a crew member standing there. She's holding a clipboard of some sort. She's got some gaff tape to her. She very well could be like an assistant director or something, who knows, or even just a grip, I don't know. And then we do have a photo of the truck with the giant camera rig mounted to the top of it on that crane. That is a very high-tech truck, very cool. The world will never believe me. I do have photographic proof, but I will not share it. But just days before Nick Holt went and auditioned for Superman, I was hanging out with the guy, and the film he was working on at the moment had a truck that was similar to this crane truck with the camera rig, although a little bit less high-tech as that, and it was pretty freaking awesome. And so was the Superman movie. That movie rocked. Anyways, that will do it for this one, you guys. What do you guys think about all this? What do you think's going on with the DRT truck? Do you think it's going to be resuscitating civilians, Titans, or what's going on with that thing? And then again, what are your thoughts? Do you think Godzilla and Kong are heading to space? As always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. If that's not your thing, please consider joining as a channel member. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time for the next one. D-Man, out.